Hello everyone, welcome to this series of database internals where today we will be learning about transactions in databases. So the very first thing, what is a transaction? Okay, so first I will define a bookish definition of transaction in DBMS. Then we will redefine it to make you understand better what exactly is transaction and why do we even need a transaction. Okay, so let's get started. A transaction is nothing but set of logical instructions, okay, that should be executed together. Okay, now transaction is a set of logical instructions that should be executed together. Let's redefine it. What do I mean by set of logical instruction? Set of logical instruction is nothing but collection of queries, and these multiple SQL statement or these multiple queries that we send to database to execute must be executed together, or you can say either all of them should be executed or none of them should be executed. Okay, so collection of query acts as a single unit of work. Okay, so what is transaction? Transaction is nothing but logical instructions. You can redefine it as collection of queries that must be executed together, right? So that acts as a single unit of work. Now, still there might be technical jargons here, technical terms here. Okay, now we are going to deep dive. Why do we even need a transaction, right? So to understand this, we will take an example of transferring $100 from account A to account B, assuming we have this simple account table. Okay, so let's see what we have in this table. So we have two entry in this table, entry 1, entry 2. We are calling ID 1 entry. So entry with ID 1 as account A and entry with ID 2 as account B. Okay, so the table name is account. We have ID column, we have a name column, and we have a balance column. Now account A wants to send $100 to account B. So after updation, it should look something like account A should have $100 because it has transferred $100 to account B, and account B should have $600, right? Because we want to transfer $100. In that case, we will deduct 100 rupees from this account and add 100 rupees to this account, right? Okay, so let's go and understand the steps required to transfer $100 from account A to account B. So the very first step you will say is, what we will do is we will first check if account A has $100 or not. So check if account A has enough balance. So there can be two case, right? Case one, if it has $100, and case 2 if it do not have even $100. So if the balance is greater than or equal to $100, then we can go ahead and deduct the money, right? So second step would be deducting $100. That is nothing but debit account A with $100, right? And third step will be crediting that money, credit account with $100. Now if you look closely, checking if account A has enough balance or not is nothing but a select query. So we'll say select balance from account where ID is equals to 1, right? This will be the query. This will give you balance of account A. Now if balance will be greater than equal to $100, then what we will do? We will will perform debit operation, then we will perform credit operation, and then we will close, right? So if you see closely, this is nothing but update operation, updating balance by saying balance, like by setting balance equals to balance minus 100. And for this, we'll say balance equals to balance plus 100, right? So if you look closely, this is select, this is update, this is update. But there should be a way for us to tell database it is a single unit of work, right? To make this work, like we want to transfer $100. So these three operation is required operation. All these three operations are required operations, right? So this is nothing but collection of queries and single unit of work, right? Either all of them should go or nothing should be executed. To give you an example, suppose this select statement succeeded, this select statement succeeded, but this credit statement failed. So this succeeded, right? What will happen is you debited $100, so this will be 100, but this never becomes 600, right? Why it happened? Because this one failed, this one succeeded, but the account B has never been credited. So account B has never been credited. So to make it as a single unit of work, so different database has different syntax. Some of them say, so let's say there should be a way to tell that database, like, hey, there should be a way to tell database that start the transaction and end the transaction, right? And between these, we will write our queries, which is nothing but single unit of work. Single unit of work, right? Okay. Now we understood why we need a transactional, uh, why we need to write a transactional query, right? What do we mean by a transaction? So all this operation together is nothing but single unit of work, and all of them should be like executed all together, or none of them should be executed. So if any of them failed, the transaction should be rolled back to its initial state. So transaction ensures data integrity. What do I mean by that is that a transaction, so the state of your data before and after the transaction should be consistent. It should not corrupt your database. When I say corrupt, I basically means like there should not be a partial execution of operation. Either all these queries should succeed, or none of them should succeed. So if there is a partial, we will roll back all which happened successfully, but because of one that has failed, right? Okay. Now we will go into how to write uh, a basic SQL transactional query, and look into like how we will make it to act as a single unit of work. The very first thing we will do is we will tell database that this is a transactional query, and there will be more than like one. There can be a single or more than one queries that should be performed as a single unit of work. So, right. So we will first start the transaction, right? Then in second we said we'll check if account A has enough, or let's say $100, exactly $100 we are checking, $100 or not, right? We will say debit $100, right? Debit $100 from account A, right? Then we will credit $100 to account B, and then we will end transaction. Okay, so these are the five steps that we will be doing. Let's start writing query for this. So the very first thing is we said is we'll start the transaction. So starting transaction is very simple. It is nothing but we say begin transaction. Now the second thing, checking if account A has $100 or not. To do that, first we need, so basically we will say if sender balance, right? Sender balance should be greater than equal to $100, right? So what is the sender balance here? So we have not defined any variable, right? So first we need to define this variable. So say declare at sender balance, and the data type, for now I'm keeping it as int. It should be double, or based on the requirement it can change, but for now, for the simplicity, I'm taking it as int. Now we have defined the variable itself. Now if you see closely, we have a variable, we have started the transaction here, then we have a variable called sender balance. Now we need to initialize this variable with balance, like sender balance, right? To do that, first we need to initialize. So we will write select balance from account where ID equals to 1. And this balance should be assigned to sender balance, right? Equals to. So what we are doing here is we are declaring a variable here called sender balance, because we want to compare like if sender balance should be greater than the balance that needs to be deducted from account, because sender must have that much balance in the account, so that then only he will be able to transfer that money, right? So to achieve that, first what we are doing is we are checking if sender has that amount or not, right? So we have initialized sender balance variable by firing a select query on account ID one, right? Now suppose sender A has enough balance, then what we will do is we will debit $100 from account A, right? So we'll say update account set balance is equals to balance minus $100, right? Where ID equals to 1, right? Okay. This will basically update the balance of account A. Basically, it will debit $100 from account A, and then we will do similar thing. Like it will not be a very fancy query. So basically, we'll again say update account set balance equals to balance plus $100, right? So it is crediting the money where ID equals to. Now we will end the transaction saying, so to end the transaction, we'll say commit transaction, and then we'll end the if condition, right? Okay, so let's look closely what we have done so far. So the first step was to start the transaction. This is nothing but telling database, hey, I want to start a transaction, and anything inside that should be transactional. So all the queries that I'm writing inside a start transaction and commit transaction must be executed together, and either all of them should executed or none of them should executed. If you execute anything successfully and between it, so let's say this one succeeded, but the third one failed. In that case, it's responsibility of database to roll back any write operation and go to the previous state as if this transaction was never taken place, right? So what we are doing is we are restarting the transaction, we are declaring a balance, sender balance, and then we are assigning the value of account A's balance, basically. So we are selecting balance and assigning it to sender variable, sender balance, where from account ID where ID is one, right? Now if account A has greater than $100, then we are updating account. We are basically debiting money from account A, like update account set balance minus $100 where ID is one, and then we are crediting $100 from account B, where we are setting balance equals to balance plus 100 where ID is 2, and then at the end we are committing the transaction, right? Now if you look closely, if anything between begin transaction and commit transaction fails, it's database responsibility to roll back. So this is nothing but, if you look closely, this is nothing but single unit of work, and we this syntax, like wrapping all your collection of queries or set of logical instructions inside begin transaction and commit transaction is a transaction. So these all are transactional statements, and this ensure data integrity, and there should not be this also ensure that there should not be any partial transaction in place. Okay, that's it for this video. In coming video we will see the properties of transaction,